Yo, today we are reacting to an iconic scene of anime of Attack on Titan. I'm really excited for this one, and I know you guys are too. Let's get to it. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Wonder Child Studios, and we are back with another Attack on Titan reaction. Now, I know this show has a lot of iconic moments, but today we are checking out Bertholdt and Reiner's Betrayal, where they reveal they are the armored and colossal Titan. One of the greatest scenes in anime history. You know, Attack on Titan is peak, so let's get into it.
お前さ、疲れてんだよ。なあ、ベルトルト。こうなってもおかしくないくらい大変だったんだろ。お前が人類を殺しまくった鎧の巨人なら。
So if you didn't know, just a little bit of context. Reiner and Bertholdt are considered friends of, you know, the Scout Regiment right now. And Reiner's getting a little crazy. You know, he's starting to say certain things. He's starting to miss going home, and he's starting to become too close to the people that he's met and forgetting the mission a little bit. So
なんでそんな相談を俺にしなくちゃなんねんだ。そんなこと言われて俺が
Yeah, so Eren ain't going for it, man. You know, he was like, I'm not trying to hear all that. And you see Mikasa, she on go just in case.
その通りだよな。何を考えてるんだ俺は。
Yep. That symbolism right there. It's time to break off that pact they had. That silence right there is just perfect placing. Flag breaks, very symbolic. Everybody stops. You know, they had their suspicions, and it's time. You know, it's time for the big reveal that, you know, they've been hinting at the whole time, the whole show. Great soundtrack. On go mode. Mm. 3 years is a long time. So let's talk about that real quick. You know, just more context of the show. Reiner didn't think that, you know, the other side of his mission had people who were pretty much just like him. So he kind of lost the plot of the mission when he was over there, seeing that, you know, people had a lot of relatability to him. You know, he was like a big bro to Eren. And yeah, so now he just has to really just sever that relationship that he had to carry out what they came over to do. See, he's conflicted right there. There it is, they're exposing. Those Titans can heal on their own. And Eren knows it. That boy Bertholdt was like, what? And then here we go, Miss Go mode. You know, she always on ready, on call. Bro, Mikasa's so tough, bro. Can we, like, she's an Ackerman, but straight every time Eren needed somebody. Look over the shoulder, Mikasa right there. Whereas Mikasa, you know, she was ready to protect that man no matter what. Loved her character. And can we talk about how it must feel to look two people in the face that you trusted for so long in a world filled with so much death and murder, and the colossal titan was somebody Eren looked at, as to why his mom died. Reiner was there as the armor titan, breaking down the walls and whatnot, and just to find out right now in this moment that it was your own homies, man, that's gotta be tough. Snatch my man Eren up, just looking Betrayal right in the face. Now they getting on, now they gotta go. And my man Eren, man, straight tears. But I feel him though. Look at this. He's your brothers. They've been plotting on you. And they didn't piss my man Eren off. And when Eren get pissed off, he get active. So again, I could only imagine just those memories that you have with somebody, and then all of a sudden just spit in the face. Like, the whole time you played me, so now he gotta get his get back. Like I said, great show, iconic moment. Now let's get right into the breakdown. All right, so let's break it down. One of the beautiful things about this scene is the emphasis on the trust being broken, the betrayal, right? Eren, had a great relationship with Reiner, Bertholdt. There's already some suspicion that they were like who they were, and he just didn't want to believe it. So Reiner and Bertholdt, they go to Eren and they're like, hey man, we're the armored and colossal titan. And Eren is like, come on bro, like no way. And then immediately the whole tone of the scene changes. It gets quiet, the flag breaks. Mikasa stops in her tracks because she knows what's about to happen. And just that little pause of energy just showed the seriousness of the situation. And it's like, how many times have we been betrayed in real life? And we felt like that, where the world just kind of pauses for a second. And the stuff that we're hearing, we just can't really believe it. So two themes that I'm really taking away from this scene is, one is obviously the betrayal, because trusted comrades, people who come up to you, they spent 3 years together, right? They were building memories, and especially in a world where there's so much death and so much sacrifice, having these people in these relationships is important. So that was one. And then the second one is perspective, right? And the perspective of Eren and his guys, they're wrong, right? They're like, it's like, you guys came over here and you guys played us like a fiddle, like that's not cool. But then the Reiner and Bertholdt perspective is, we're over here to carry out a mission. And how many times in life do we have conflicting perspectives that aren't really wrong? It's more so just a matter of how you look at it. One side thinks this and one side thinks this, and depending on how you look at it, it can be justified. So that's kind of like, that kind of stuck with me watching this scene. I was just like, man, like the rage, the anger, you know, feeling like he just got betrayed. You know, at the time, you know, the Colossal Titan and the Armor Titan were the reason for Aaron's mom's death. You know, he couldn't feel anything but that. But then at the same time, on the other side, Bertholdt and Reiner, they're carrying out a mission. They believe what they're doing is the right thing. And you just have these two conflicting sides. And that's why we love art, you know, because when it's hard for us to choose, you know, maybe your personality is like, nah, Bertholdt and Reiner are doing the right thing. And then my personality, I'm like, no, Aaron is right. He has every right to be upset. So perspective and betrayal. And how many times, you know, can we resonate with this? Perspective is important, but also that vulnerability being taken and stomped on, it's painful. You know, we live in a world where we don't want to be vulnerable because we don't want to get hurt, but the only true way to have good, fulfilling relationships is to put that vulnerability out there. It's just some good stuff to think about. Now, I love that scene. You know, I love Attack on Titan, great show. And yeah, so I'm gonna get into a story time now about sometimes I experience, you know, maybe a different perspective or betrayal. So let's get into it. So, back in the day, you know, I was in a relationship, you know, one of my first ones, and it was one of those situations where you just put your trust in somebody, right? And you just, you know, you're young, so you're not really thinking too much about it. And then, you know, we dated for a long period of time, and just the pain of knowing someone you trusted did something to hurt you was just something I couldn't fathom at the time, right? So when you just have these things of betrayal, like, it hurts. It takes away our vulnerability. You know, I believe that every person trusts until they get hurt. So in my case, in the story, you know, like, I had a girlfriend who I never thought would hurt me, but then she did, and then it's like, after that, you become like this wounded puppy because you don't want to give that trust to anybody else anymore. That pain of the heart is some of the worst pain in life. So when you get heartbroken, it's just really hard to regain that and be able to do that again. But I feel like that's a major goal in life. Can we take ourselves and put that vulnerability out there, even with the risk of being hurt? Because when we don't, we won't ever have those fulfilling relationships. You know, it's like bittersweet, right? The heartbreak and the betrayal hurts a little bit more, but because of those vulnerable moments and being there for each other in those relationships and the times we get betrayed, we just enjoy them so much more. But if we walk around with our walls up all the time, what we do is we end up self-sabotaging and robbing ourselves of the beautiful relationships of life. So in my story, you know, like I just had to, you know, work on myself, go to therapy and all that good stuff, and just make it okay so that in my next relationship or whoever's coming into my life after or in the future, I don't put that betrayal or hurt on somebody else. I don't take my wounds and put them on somebody else. So we have to be able to, you know, take these things with a grain of salt and feel the emotions. It sucks and it hurts, but at the end of the day, it's what makes us human, and it's what makes life worth living. Think about it. So now, I got this monologue that I came up for you, inspired by Attack on Titan. Check it out. No. This can't be happening. Please tell me that what I just saw didn't happen. Our brothers, people we ate with, starved with, fought with, and right under our nose, they were the enemy the whole time. How could they? How could they? They took him. We have to get him back. I swear, the pain that I'm gonna make them feel when I get my hands on them, oh, they're not gonna be able to take it. Because how dare you come into our life, act like you're one of us. We need to get him back. I don't care what I become in the process, but I'm getting him back, and they're gonna pay. So one thing I want everyone to take from this video is betrayal, pain, you know, trust being broken. It's all gonna happen. You know, unfortunately, it's a part of life because we all don't view it the same. Some people are ill-intentioned, some people aren't. So just by putting yourself out there and, you know, being in front of people who might have a difference of perspective than you, it's inevitable that it happens and you get hurt. But the key is to not get hurt, but no, the key is to get hurt and not stay bitter, to be vulnerable and not be scared of the consequence of that. You know, I know so many people, and myself included, who we know something hurts, so we try to avoid it. But the beautiful thing about life is that pain is our ultimate teacher. Pain helps us grow. So if we avoid painful situations, we'll never move past a certain point. How can we become people who can feel the pain and still remain big-hearted? Are you able to look heartbreak, despair, rage in the face and say, I'm still going to be a good person? I'm still going to be able to be a light in this world? And trust me, I know it's much easier said than done, but it should be a main goal of ours. Later on in the show, Aaron and Reiner are talking, and they end up saying that they're like the same person. It's just how they were raised and the things that they did were a little different. But it was both to protect the people who they loved. So who's wrong? And the same, theme can be applied to our lives. Depending on how you look at it, two people can have a difference of opinion and not necessarily be wrong. Or you could be in a situation where somebody does it with malicious intent and knows that it's wrong just to hurt you. But vulnerability is important, man. The best experiences in life are going to come when you let those walls down. They're gonna come when you say, you know what? I can get hurt in this situation by this person. I can, risk being injured in this game. I can risk getting rejected by this girl. But we have to keep the ability to remain soft-hearted, to allow things to happen as they are. So, again, in a world full of so much pain, don't self-sabotage. Open your heart, because the most beautiful experiences will follow after. Pain is a great teacher. Don't forget that. But also try to stay pure in a world full of hurt. See you soon.